Let me tell you something nobody wants to hear right now, especially as you're sitting here watching this. You think you're in control. You think you're making choices. You think you're the one deciding what to think, what to feel, what to focus on. But you're not. Your mind is running you, and it's running you straight into the ground. Every time you unlock your phone without even realizing it, every time you fall into anxiety about something that hasn't even happened yet, every time you replay that embarrassing memory from 3 years ago at 2 a.m., every time you sit down to work on your goals and somehow end up doing anything else, that's not you being lazy. That's not you lacking discipline. That's your mind taking the wheel, and you just sitting in the passenger seat. And here's the terrifying part. Your mind isn't built to make you happy or successful. It's built to keep you safe. And safe to your mind means no growth, no risk, no change. It means staying exactly where you are, comfortable, predictable, and stagnant. See, your mind is ancient software. It's a survival machine still running code written 100,000 years ago, designed to protect you from lions, not deadlines, from physical danger, not emotional discomfort. And until you learn to take back control, you'll keep living on autopilot, watching yourself make the same mistakes, reliving the same patterns, wondering why nothing ever changes. You want to know what's really controlling your mind right now? Let's look closer. Think about the last time you were supposed to do something important. Maybe it was work, maybe studying, maybe having a difficult conversation. What happened? First came the feeling, that small, uncomfortable resistance. Not pain, just a subtle tension. Then came the thought, I'll do it later. Then another, I should check my phone first. Then another, actually, I'm kind of hungry. Then another, I work better in the evening anyway. And before you knew it, 3 hours were gone and you accomplished nothing. But here's the truth, you didn't decide any of that. Your mind decided it for you. It created the discomfort. It generated the thoughts. It directed your attention. It controlled your behavior. And you? You just went along for the ride, fully convinced that you were the one making choices. This is happening every single day. Your mind generates thousands of thoughts you never asked for. It creates emotions you don't want. It steals your attention and points it toward things that don't matter. It builds stories about who you are and what you're capable of, and you believe them without question. Your mind whispers, "You're not good enough," and you accept it. It says, "Be anxious about the future," and you obey. It says, "Remember that painful thing from the past," and you do. It craves a dopamine hit, and you reach for your phone. You've been hypnotized by your own thoughts. And the scariest part? You don't even realize it's happening. Here's what's actually happening inside your head. And once you understand this, everything changes. You don't have one mind, you have two, and they're constantly at war. The first is your primitive mind, the automatic one. It's been running the show for millions of years. It reacts instantly. It fears instinctively. It seeks comfort and avoids pain. This is the mind that makes you check your phone 150 times a day without thinking. The mind that freezes the moment you need to act. The mind that always picks the easy route. The second is your conscious mind, the rational one. This is the mind that plans, that dreams, that sets goals. It's the part of you that knows what you should be doing. The part that wants to grow, to evolve, to break patterns and become more. But here's the problem. The primitive mind is stronger, it's faster, it's louder. It's been practicing for millions of years, and it knows exactly how to manipulate you. It has direct access to your emotions, your body, your attention. It doesn't need your permission to act. It just acts. Meanwhile, the conscious mind is slow. It requires effort. It gets tired. It only works when you intentionally activate it, and most people never do. They live their entire lives letting the primitive mind drive, while their conscious mind sits quietly in the back seat, occasionally whispering, "We should really do something different," only to be ignored again and again. This inner war is happening right now, inside your head. One voice says, "Do the hard thing." Another says, "Stay comfortable." One says, "Focus on what matters." Another says, "Let's just check social media for a second." One says, "You can change." Another says, "You've always been this way." Most people lose this war, not because they're weak, but because they don't even know a battle exists. They think every thought that appears in their head is them. They think every emotion they feel is truth. They think every impulse is a choice. But they're wrong. You're wrong if you believe that. You are not your mind. You are the awareness behind the mind. You're the observer, the witness, the one who can step back and watch the thoughts without becoming them. You can feel the emotions without letting them control your actions. You can notice the impulses and still decide differently, but only if you learn how to do it. Let's start with the foundation, the most valuable thing you own. And it's not your money, your time, or even your energy. It's your attention. Your attention is the steering wheel of your entire life. Wherever your attention goes, your life follows. What you focus on expands. What you think about becomes your reality. What you give attention to grows stronger. And right now, your attention, the thing that determines your entire future, is being stolen from you thousands of times a day. Every ping, every buzz, every notification, every autoplay, you might also like, or they're not coincidences. They're not conveniences. They're engineered traps. They're attention hijacking systems designed by the smartest people on Earth. Not to make your life better, but to make it impossible for you to look away. To keep your mind under their control. And the worst part? They're winning. The average person checks their phone 96 times a day. That's once every 10 minutes. They spend 7 hours a day staring at screens, nearly half of their waking life. Their attention span? 8 seconds. A goldfish lasts 9. You're not controlling your attention anymore. Algorithms are. And algorithms don't care about your purpose, your goals, or your growth. They only care about keeping you scrolling, watching, and feeding them your time, your most precious resource. Every time you pick up your phone, just for a second. Every time you open social media just to check, every time you let yourself get distracted, you're not just wasting time, you're training your brain to be distractible. And here's the harsh truth. You can't build a meaningful life with a distracted mind. You can't think deeply. You can't solve real problems. You can't create anything valuable. You can't grow into the person you're meant to be. A distracted mind is a controlled mind, and a controlled mind is a wasted life. Let's talk about what happens when you don't control your mind. When you let it run on autopilot, where does it go? Let me guess. Worry, anxiety, self-doubt, regret, resentment, comparison, imaginary arguments, past mistakes, future disasters. Am I close? Of course I am, because that's exactly where the mind goes by default. And there's a reason for that. Your brain is hardwired with something called the negativity bias, a survival mechanism buried deep within you. One negative thought outweighs 5 positive ones. One criticism hits harder than 10 compliments. One failure feels more real than a dozen successes. This made perfect sense 100,000 years ago. Back then, noticing danger could save your life. But today, this bias doesn't protect you. It paralyzes you. Your mind takes the smallest problem and turns it into a catastrophe. It takes one awkward conversation and convinces you everyone hates you. It takes one setback and tells you you're a failure. It takes uncertainty and fills it with worst-case scenarios. And if you don't catch it, if you don't intervene, your mind spirals. One negative thought triggers another, then another, until suddenly you're lying in bed at 3 a.m., convinced your entire life is falling apart, all because of one harmless email, one comment, one moment. That's your mind controlling you, creating realities that don't exist, generating emotions over situations that aren't even happening, building full-blown stories out of single details, and then trapping you inside them. Most people live their entire lives inside these mental prisons. They believe every thought their mind generates. They follow every emotional spiral to the bottom. They accept every internal story as absolute truth. But here's what changes everything. Thoughts are not facts. Feelings are not reality. Your mind's interpretation of events is not the same as the events themselves. You have a choice. Always. You can let your mind run wild, producing endless thoughts and believing every single one. Or you can observe those thoughts, question them, and decide which ones deserve your attention. See, your mind has been writing a story about who you are since you were a kid. Every experience, every success, every failure, every comment from others. Your mind took it all and used it to create a script. I'm the kind of person who, I've always been this way. I'm just not good at that. That's not who I am. That script became your identity. And your identity, that story, is the most powerful form of control your mind has over you. Because your mind hates inconsistency. It will do whatever it takes to make sure your actions, emotions, and beliefs align with that old identity, even if it's holding you back. If you believe you're not a morning person, your mind will make waking up early feel impossible. If you believe you're not athletic, your mind will make exercise feel unnatural. If you believe you're socially awkward, your mind will flood you with anxiety every time you're around people. Your identity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your mind creates evidence to support the story it already believes. It filters reality to fit your existing beliefs. It generates emotions that match your self-concept. It sabotages behaviors that contradict who you think you are. That's why people who say, "I'll try," never commit. Why people who say, "I wish I could," never do. Why people who say, "I'm just not that type of person," never become one. Because their mind is guarding the identity, the prison it built. And here's the truth your mind doesn't want you to know. Identity is not fixed. You are not your past. You are not your habits. You are not your thoughts. You are not the story your mind has been telling you. You are whoever you choose to become, starting right now. But before you can rebuild, you have to see the prison clearly. You have to recognize that the bars holding you back aren't real. They're made of thoughts. And thoughts can be changed. Beliefs can be rewritten. Identities can be rebuilt. Let's dig deeper. Because your mind doesn't just control your thoughts, it controls your emotions. And that's where most people lose the battle completely. You think emotions happen to you, but they don't. They happen through you. Every emotion you feel, anger, fear, sadness, anxiety, joy, peace, isn't caused directly by what's happening outside of you. It's caused by what your mind says about what's happening. It's not the event that hurts you. It's your interpretation of the event. Two people can go through the exact same experience and feel completely different emotions. One loses their job and feels destroyed. The other loses their job and feels free. The difference isn't what happened. It's how they framed it. Your emotions are not truth. They're feedback, signals your mind sends based on the story it's telling itself. If your mind says, "This is dangerous," you feel fear. If it says, "This is unfair," you feel anger. If it says, "This is hopeless," you feel despair. The problem is, your mind lies. It misinterprets. It exaggerates. It dramatizes. And every time you believe its story, you feed it more power. Think about this. How many times have you felt anxious about something that never happened? How many nights have you stayed awake replaying conversations that didn't matter a week later? How many moments of peace have you destroyed by imagining worst-case scenarios that never came true? That's your mind creating emotions out of fiction, and your body reacting as if it's real. Your heart races, your chest tightens, your stomach knots. Your body goes into full survival mode over a thought, and that's the real trap. Because once your body reacts, your mind says, "See, I was right to be afraid." Then the emotion reinforces the thought, and the cycle begins again. Thought, emotion, reaction, proof, stronger thought. That's how people get stuck in anxiety loops, anger cycles, depressive spirals, not because life is constantly attacking them, but because their interpretations keep pulling them into emotional storms. You can't control every situation, but you can always control your interpretation. And when you change the interpretation, you change the emotion. That's emotional mastery, not pretending you don't feel things, but learning to understand why you feel them. Pause when you feel triggered. Ask yourself, what story is my mind telling me right now? Is this thought actually true? Is there another way to see this? And most of the time, there is. You can reframe anger into understanding. You can turn fear into focus. You can turn pain into perspective. That's how growth happens, not by escaping emotions, but by retraining your mind to interpret differently. The goal isn't to become emotionless. The goal is to become emotionally aware. Because the moment you can watch your emotions without being consumed by them, you've already taken your power back. That's when you realize your emotions are not enemies. They're teachers. They show you where your mind still controls you. And when you can sit in discomfort without reacting, when you can feel fear without running, when you can experience pain without drowning in it, that's when your conscious mind, the higher part of you, finally takes control. That's where self-mastery begins. All right, enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution, how you actually take control of your mind. It all starts with one fundamental skill, the skill that changes everything. Awareness. You cannot control what you don't notice. You cannot break patterns you don't see. You cannot escape a prison you can't recognize. The first step is simple, but far from easy. Start watching your mind, not thinking, watching. There's a difference. Thinking is getting lost inside your thoughts, believing them, following them wherever they lead, becoming them. Watching is stepping back, observing each thought like a car passing on a busy street. You notice it, you see it. You don't jump in front of it. You don't let it control you. This is called metacognition, thinking about thinking. It's the single most powerful tool you have to reclaim control over your life. Start small. Sample your mind throughout the day. When you notice an emotion, pause. Ask, what thought just caused this? When you catch yourself avoiding something, pause. Ask, which thought made me do this? When you get distracted, pause. Ask, what pulled my attention away? Most people never do this. They're so identified with their thoughts that they can't see them. They are the water the fish swims in. But you can step outside the water. You can observe it instead of drowning in it. And once you observe your mind, you can question it. When your mind says, I can't do this, ask, is that true? When it says, everyone will judge me, ask, is this a fact or just fear? When it says, I'll do it later, ask, is this serving me or my goals? You're not arguing, you're not fighting. You're simply treating your mind like a tool, powerful but sometimes malfunctioning, instead of believing it's always right. This simple act breaks the automatic pattern. It interrupts the spiral. It creates space, the space between thought and action. And in that space, you can choose. Here's what taking control of your mind looks like in practice. These are non-negotiable habits for anyone serious about mastery. 1. Morning mind reset. First 30 minutes of your day, no phone, no notifications, no distractions. Your mind is most malleable in the morning. Whatever you feed it first shapes the entire day. Feed it intentional thoughts, and the day unfolds on purpose. 2. Attention boundaries. Pick 3 times a day where you don't allow distractions. No phone, no multitasking, nothing else. This is how you rebuild your focus and prove to yourself that you control your attention. 3. Thought audits. 3 times a day, morning, midday, evening. Pause for 60 seconds and observe. What are the dominant thoughts? Are they serving you? Are they true? Are they useful? If not, consciously redirect your attention to something that is. 4. Evening mind dump. Before bed, write down everything your mind is holding on to. Worries, ideas, unfinished tasks, replays of the day. Get it out of your head. This tells your mind it can stop recycling thoughts and gives you back mental space. 5. Weekly pattern recognition. Once a week, review your thought audits. Notice patterns. Look for triggers. Identify automatic programs running your mind. Awareness is the first step to reprogramming your inner operating system. Consistency is key. Your mind is practicing something every moment, either being controlled by distractions and automatic patterns, or being guided by your conscious choices. You get to decide which becomes the default. Taking control of your mind isn't a one-time event. It's not a weekend challenge. It's not a habit you check off your list. It's a daily practice, one you commit to for the rest of your life, because your mind will always try to revert to automatic patterns. It will always seek comfort. It will always avoid discomfort. That's not a flaw. It's its design. But you are not your mind. You are the awareness observing it. You are the consciousness capable of directing it. You are the one who chooses. Here's what your life actually looks like when you start practicing control. Not the Instagram version, not the motivational poster version, but the messy, real, daily version. Tomorrow morning, you wake up. Before your feet even touch the floor, your mind starts running its programs. It reminds you of all the things you have to do today. It replays everything you didn't do yesterday. It predicts everything that could go wrong. It dredges up what someone said 3 days ago. It whispers, check your phone. It urges, stay in bed 5 more minutes. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can let those thoughts dictate your morning, or you can notice them, acknowledge them, and decide what to focus on instead. This is your first battle of the day, and it repeats every single day for the rest of your life. The same goes for your work. Every time you sit down to do something important, your mind offers 1,000 escape routes. Check email first. Get coffee first. Just see what's on social media real quick. You work better after lunch anyway. This isn't the right time. You don't feel inspired right now. And every single time, you face the same choice. Do you follow your mind down every distraction it offers? Or do you observe these thoughts for what they are, patterns of resistance, and direct your attention to the work anyway? That's the daily battle. The same goes for discomfort and fear. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, your mind will generate anxiety. It will remind you of every failure. It will tell you you're not capable, not ready, not enough. And in that moment, you have the same choice. Do you believe those thoughts and freeze? Or do you recognize them as your mind trying to keep you safe and move forward anyway? Every day presents these choices. Every single morning, every time you sit down to work, every time you face uncertainty or challenge, let your mind run wild or take control. Let your thoughts spiral or redirect them. Let your attention be stolen or protected. Let your emotions control you or understand them. Let your identity limit you or expand it. This choice never goes away. And here's the beauty of it. Every time you make the right choice, you're casting a vote for who you're becoming. One vote doesn't win an election, but thousands do. Tens of thousands of votes create a landslide. Vote to control your attention today. Do it for 30 days and you rebuild your focus. Do it for a year and you become someone who can think deeply while everyone else is distracted. Vote to question your negative thoughts today. Do it for 30 days and you reprogram your patterns. Do it for a year and you stop spiraling while others remain overwhelmed. Vote to direct your mind toward your goals today. Do it for 30 days and you build momentum. Do it for a year and you achieve things while everyone else stays stuck. And here's what happens when you keep making the right choice. It gets easier. Not easy, easier. Your mind starts to follow your lead more naturally. Not because it wants to, but because you've trained it to. Because you've shown it thousands of times who's in charge. Then your thoughts begin to align with your goals. Not because negative thoughts stop appearing, but because you stop following them down every rabbit hole they create. Your emotions stabilize. Not because you stop feeling discomfort, but because you understand that emotions are information, not instructions. You can feel fear and still act. You can feel doubt and still move forward. You can feel uncomfortable and still grow. This is mastery in action. Now it's time to take everything we've discussed and put it into action. Here's a challenge that will reveal exactly how much control you actually have over your mind. Right now, today, this week. For the next 7 days, you're going to do 3 things. 1. No phone for the first hour after waking. Not for emergencies, not for just checking. Nothing. This will show you how addicted your mind is to external input. It will reveal just how quickly your attention is hijacked without you even realizing it. 2. Pause before picking up your phone. Every time you pick it up today, stop for 3 seconds. Ask yourself, did I decide to do this, or did my mind decide for me? This will show you how automatic your behaviors have become, and how often your mind runs the show without your permission. 3. Evening reflection. Write it down. Before bed each night, write down 3 thoughts your mind generated today that were not useful. Then write down what you consciously chose to think instead. This simple act separates an uncontrolled mind from a mind you're actively learning to direct. That's it. 7 days. 3 simple practices. And I guarantee most people won't do it. They'll think about it. They'll agree it's a good idea. They'll tell themselves they'll start tomorrow. And that right there, that's your mind controlling you. Here's the question you need to answer. Are you going to let this moment pass like every other piece of content you've consumed? Are you going to nod along, feel inspired for 20 minutes, and then continue letting your mind run your life? Or are you going to prove right now that you are capable of taking control? The choice is yours. But understand this. Whatever you choose today, you're not just choosing for now. You're choosing the pattern for tomorrow. You're choosing who you're becoming. Your mind will control you, or you will control your mind. There is no middle ground. There is no third option. There is only one question. Who's in charge?